I don't feel that.
I know what you've been doing. Did you like that thing I sent you?
Oh, yes, that was very fun.
Yes.
Very difficult.
Yes. Are we on? Oh, there we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the budget select
They're
board
not
joint
separate.
meeting.
Yeah, they are.
Would everyone like to stand and do the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize, Harold, the TV went off.
So for those of you who didn't know, Melanie has, texted us. She's gonna be a little late, but we still have 4 members here, so we've got a quorum, so we're ready to rock and roll. So, the first thing on the agenda is solid waste.
You calling me solid waste or?
That's what it says, 6:30, solid waste. So, Mr. Can,
You sure it's not 6 o'clock?
no, 6:30, right there, 6:30.
Ken was here at 6. I was here, yeah,
Well, that's because he likes to be
Last
frosty.
that's because it wasn't last.
Monday,
You are-
last Monday it was 6,
That's right,
but you weren't on the agenda.
no.
Okay, and by the way, whoever did the tabbing, thank you very much.
Lisa did,
Lisa, thank you, Lisa.
In page numbering.
Yes.
that was Lorna.
Okay,
Thank you, Lisa.
so, so I guess
Yeah.
You gonna
questions?
start?
I mean, sure. Well, I mean, it's all pretty much written out here. It's 4% up from last year. The increases are really waste removal. Which we really don't have much of a choice. Benefits, salaries. And other than that, there's really not much to speak of. I mean, we've got an extra $1,000 for punch cards, little stuff here and there. There's nothing,
yeah, I don't
That's
have
the-
anything
the
highlighted.
bulk of that for the town.
I noticed that it went down, the 2025 request went down from, the last time.
Yeah, we got health, not health insurance, we got retirement figures and was it health? No, retirement, what was the other one? That was the ambulance for public safety.
Yeah, the ambulance came
Yeah,
in.
but our retirement figures came in, so we were able to adjust those lines throughout, which decreased. Because we had budgeted, I think 11% and we're at 10.2. So reduced that.
So the percentage of change was 4.02, 4.16.
Yeah. So, and probably the budget committee knows this, but in case you didn't know that, on all of these, the wages, they separated out retirement and taxes and benefits, so it looks different than it did last
That
year.
was our request.
Everyone, okay, all right. I assumed everyone knew that, but.
Yep.
So does anyone have any questions for Kenny? Barbara?
I have a couple. On the membership dues, I'm just concerned if something was higher this year, do we want to make it higher for next year? So membership dues this year were 230. And this year it's down just for 200. So, should we up that just to?
No, it should stay, and then the $30, I know we can up that line $30, but I didn't think it really warranted being up to $30.
The last time we had a discussion about the importance of line items, so I just want to make sure that you don't lose
Well,
out.
we could take $30 from education.
Take $30 from somewhere else and put it there, sure, if you want.
What is education at the transfer station?
Well, we used it for, like, with Dan, we did the, kids coming for a field trip. So all the stuff that we bought for that, we bought, vests and gloves, and we dressed the kids up, and we spent money
Oh,
on that.
okay, yeah,
Other times we printed stuff, we bought stuff for the, town meeting to give the raffles.
oh, right, okay, yeah, okay. I was just curious, but I didn't know if there were courses you get, you know, like OSHA courses you had to
Right.
take, or,
No, those are free.
oh, those are free.
Those are free.
Okay.
And I have one more question.
Yeah,
On the second page for the fuel, the fact that it's so low for year to date, is that just how the deliveries have fallen that you're due for a
No,
delivery?
we had a credit of, what was it,
Oh, I remember that.
$1,800 or something like that on the fuel in that line. You know what I'm talking about, right? I still don't understand why we got that credit, but we did.
there was a credit that came from when we switched companies or something. Companies, I remember hearing about it.
No, we got a lower price per gallon for
No, but I
diesel.
thought there was a credit.
There
somewhere.
was a credit, and that's, geez, I don't have that on that sheet, is it? It's not on this.
Part of it was something that happened with Nick and the changeover that I had to change things around, and I'm not sure what all of it.
Yeah, it was during that transition period, but we did get a credit for 18, that's why it's that way.
Yeah, didn't they call and say, you've got money here, you should use this instead of doing something else?
I
Doesn't
don't know
matter.
what happened with that, but I know
Yeah.
we did get a credit, we got money back.
Right,
I don't anticipate getting again next year.
that's the reason why the actual is so low.
Yes,
Because of the credit.
it's a credit of 1,800 and change.
Don't look a good gift horse in the mouth.
Right,
No,
Right?
I've got a question.
Yeah. yeah,
I'm done, that's it.
Okay, line 3511 skid steer. Last year, we budgeted $8,500 and it says we only spent 512.
Yeah, that's good, that's all, that's what our last discussion on the backhoe was, is that it was over budgeted last year because we budgeted for tires, but then we bought the tires in 2023, and it was supposed to be removed from the budget in 2024. It was
But it
never
wasn't.
removed.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't have another big expense coming up.
No.
Budget in 2004. Usually if you don't spend the $8,500, that means that whatever it is still like out there floating around somewhere that needs to be spent, so.
Well, yeah, that will actually, we bought that backhoe from, the last meeting I had with you guys, so that will be mostly spent.
May I ask one question?
you may,
So on line 3523 under miscellaneous. So that was it.
Let's see if I-
35,
Just go down a couple minutes.
Just a couple more, same page. So was that a newly budgeted thing for last year at 10?
Oh, yeah, what are you looking at, 25 what?
But
We're
33,
On page
35.
I'm sorry, 3523, I see.
Miscellaneous.
Under repairs and maintenance.
Yeah. And which line are you looking at, Pete, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I may have misspoke, 3523.
Yes,
miscellaneous.
that was, yeah, what about that?
So I just noticed it was 0, 0, and then it was 10,000 and then,
Yeah, I don't know why. There
That used to be
was,
special projects.
oh, that's right. I apologize. You're right, Bruce.
and so that's
It
how.
was under a different line and then it was moved to repairs, miscellaneous repairs.
Oh,
It
the
used to be
things.
under a different line those other years.
And I just heard you also talk about some of the places where some expenses had been incurred, were some of those expenses, things that would come up to the 8496 total year to date number that we're seeing there, because there were some expensive things, I know.
So the 8496 has already been,
Year to date,
is gone. So I'm not sure what your question was.
I was just wondering if the things that you enumerated, you talked about, you had the expenses that were that you'd seen. Does this number reflect those expenses?
I'm sorry.
You were talking, I think, about the skids.
Skid steer,
steer and then the
No,
back.
no, that line has nothing to do
So
with
this is
that
other
at
stuff.
all. Right, this is. This money is basically going for our 3, 5, and 10-year improvement plan, so it's all maintenance, it's been total maintenance on the building and the grounds.
Oh, okay. Right, thanks.
And you've done quite a bit
We
this
did
year.
quite a bit this year now.
Quote, line 4607. This says transfer station. What is that? We budgeted $800 last year. We only spent 196.
40.
Licenses,
Oh,
It says license, the licenses, well, this is transfer station.
oh no, Harris's,
Is it?
well, isn't that the new transfer station?
It's the new what?
It's under licenses. Sure.
Is that the Harris computer system?
No,
That's the
4602.
line, the line above.
4607.
Without the,
But it's the same number, both lines have the same number.
No, one's 4602, the other one's 4607.
Yeah, but they have the same dollar figures on both lines, right
No.
across.
No, licenses down below Bruce is
Oh,
like
I
the
got-
down below,
total
so
licenses, yeah.
it's all the licensing, the
I need my
DEP
report.
licensing, why have we only spent
Yeah, I said, why have you only spent
Do
that?
we must have
$196,
something that
so
needs
there's
to be
something
paid.
pending,
Yeah,
there's no doubt something pending.
Okay,
Probably
might-
year end sort of a thing.
yeah, I just want to make sure we don't miss it, because I mean,
Yeah.
that'll go away.
I'll make a note to send you
Yeah,
anything else so we
glad
can
you
check
actually-
that.
yeah, we're gonna have to check that because I didn't know that.
It's the same thing with, like with the rec programs under Harris Computers, there's licenses. Oh, no, that was, never mind. That was something else.
Scratch that?
Scratch that. That was,
Okay,
that
anyone,
was
I don't see
totally.
any hands up. If somebody wants to tell me if the hands go up, because I don't have eyes in the back of my head,
Oh, back here.
not back here, yeah, so.
It doesn't make a noise,
No, you
What?
have to make, noise.
No,
doesn't do that?
No.
you could do that.
We need to upgrade the system.
So now I have to sit here and watch the computer and.
You do. Anyone else have any other questions? So other than that one item we need to look up, are we comfortable moving on? Okay. Thank you, Kenny,
Well, anytime.
Run,
for
Kenny,
your
run.
early arrival and attention to
Way
detail.
too early.
Okay,
But you look good sitting.
Oh, thanks, Gary, well, you look good
So
too.
we go through eventually and vote on everything all at once, or we're gonna, the ones that actually don't have to have any work, are we gonna vote on it, but I don't. But that one,
I thought we did that at a separate
I
meeting.
thought we
but
did a
maybe
separate
not.
meeting where we voted them only
Vote.
because there are
Like-
thing, information we needed to
When
get.
we get didn't we last year do the warrant articles and then so we all got together,
Okay,
and we read through all of the warrant
it's been
articles?
done both ways, so that's my math.
Yeah, if everybody's okay with that, would you like to do it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay,
Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome. I'm not
okay.
leaving
Happy
yet. I'm going
Thanksgiving.
to check on that one.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
We have
yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of.
If I don't come back in here with an answer, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Okay, Jared, you're up.
All right then.
See,
Is that nice and hot? All ready for you? Okay.
So yeah, my budget went up by very little, especially, well, my, the personnel went up a little bit. Very little. But other than that, the contracted services line went up $1,000. And that is because we're expecting, to be paying for interlibrary loans this coming year. And we're not entirely sure what the fee is going to be, but that'll cover it. And my special projects line went up a couple $100 because I went over it this year for programs and I wanted a little bit more money in it. But other than that, everything is the same.
So is 1,700 enough if you spent 1,900 this year?
I think 1,700 will be enough. Part of that special projects was also my assistant Elena, she's doing a capstone project for school, and I spent some of the special project budget for that. And she's probably not gonna be doing another capstone.
So insurances went over $10,000 overall.
What line?
Well, I'm looking at a bunch of lines here, I mean, 99.99. Last year we budgeted 35, and this year it's 40, just over 40,000. Down there, another 99.99. We're all.
Where are
Is that library?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm not seeing it.
Oh,
Right here.
That's insurance.
oh, the tab, wrong.
Got
Sure.
stickies.
All right, we'll go back to that one.
Next time.
Okay.
Next time.
Right.
Okay. Anything else we need to? I'm just here, could you just educate me a little on special projects, is that?
Yeah, so we added that line a couple years ago, when Anthony was the town manager, because he was looking for me to do some more, like programs.
Mhm.
And so we created that line and basically it's there for, spending on programming.
So is that like the reading challenge you give to the kids?
Yeah, the reading, summer reading program,
Okay.
like, paying for author visits.
Okay, yeah,
Paying for that kind of.
that's kind of,
situation.
okay, I'm just curious.
And you'd anticipate more authors coming in this year, is that correct?
Yeah, actually, I've already got a couple scheduled, well, for next year, not this year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Great.
We could grab Maureen Milliken in the summer for a authors event.
She's actually one of the two people.
Is she
yes.
one of them?
Operating supplies,
Yeah,
the 850 gonna be enough where you spend it, 1367 this year?
kind of feel like my operating supplies and office supplies kind of gets a lot of crossover. Maybe conglomerating those into a single line, but like. They're two different things. I have been,
So maybe just being sure we get them coded correctly,
yeah,
so they get,
we could move some from my operating supply or office supplies into the operating supplies, but I'm not. It does look like I spend less out of that one each year.
Each year, yeah.
And how do you distinguish between operating supplies and office supplies, or is it just kind of a toss of the coin?
They are different things, but. Office supplies, things like. Yeah, it's,
Office supplies are usually something that is tangible, will go away, like staples, paper, that kind of thing, whereas operating supplies is something that's a stapler itself that's gonna be long.
Is that where the copier costs go to?
Um,
Are those operation,
I think those go under contracted services.
oh, and-
yes,
are they go under contracted services?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
So if you combine the two of them together,
Right, you're right on budget.
yeah, you're a little bit over budget, so I'm just wondering if we shouldn't up that operating supplies,
So maybe
Line.
1,000?
yeah.
you could take 500 from 3003 and put it on 3004.
Yeah.
That puts you up to 1350, and it leaves you 250 in office supplies, which covers what you've got there right now. You still would be a tiny bit over on 3004. Not a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I put, you know, 250 or just increase that line a little.
Yeah, putting it up to 1,000 would probably work well for me.
Another $150, but it would just give you a little cushion, because who
Yeah.
knows what next year's gonna be. I mean, we're really talking small numbers on
Yeah,
a budget, but
So you're gonna take 150 from 3003 and add it to 3004, is that what you're saying?
I think we were saying just add 150
add 150, make that line
to
1,000.
3004.
In the last 2 years, though, the office supplies has been significantly under the 750s.
Looks like in,
Okay,
yeah, okay, I did spend
okay.
1 year there, but
Can
I'd be
you,
fine with moving 150 from that to operating supplies, like that's, I think that's
I think
just fine.
to some degree too, we need to look at how in the detail,
Yeah,
right,
we can look at the detailed expense and see how it's being split
yeah,
up too.
look at that, and just make sure there's enough there.
Yeah.
We have to increase it slightly.
Yes.
20,000.
Yeah,
Anyone
he's
else
still
have any,
fine.
any questions?
so like. I've spent 1,000 of that at least.
Of the 20,000.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you
but
still
like-
have $20,000
But the
in your
20,000
budget.
is largely coming from like my personnel.
Yeah. In 1 month, though, are you really gonna go to 20,000 and over budget? I don't think so.
Okay, any other questions other than fixing that line?
So just taking 150 out of office supplies and moving it to operating supplies.
No, I
Do you
thought
wanna
we were
keep-
just going
wanna
to
keep it the
increase
same?
by 150.
Increase by-
Yeah,
Yeah,
But are we taking it out of 3003?
no, just increasing 150 to it.
and then just making sure when you look at the detail that it's coded right, and we've got it in the right column.
Yep.
So
Okay,
increase operating supplies by 150?
Yes,
Is that
3004.
yeah, make it 1,000.
So bump up total. This smidgen. Right?
We both
Okay.
read it, we'll remember, right?
Sure. By Monday?
I'll remember it as well.
Okay, all right, if no one has any more questions,
None.
none, no one?
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you, Jared.
Have a lovely Thanksgiving.
So the total,
You as well.
so the total on that now is 118,512.
Eat lots of pie.
Plus one.
Right, it's
Chocolate pie
gonna,
with
it's gonna go up
cream.
in one.
We're
150.
adding $150.
Right. Summer, yes.
118,512, right?
Yes,
This is what in sign language.
Oh, okay, so 4004. There's compost licensing that should have been moved, it should be moved down to that. And I'm still looking for where the MRRA fees are. I gotta find them, they're in there somewhere, because we just made it recently. And it's not in that,
Is it on this warrant, maybe, the next one?
well.
MSS,
I saw it, membership dues.
Yeah. MRRA,
Is that membership dues?
yeah,
It's on here.
is it on there?
Yeah,
Oh, it's on the membership dues.
it's under membership
But
dues.
the compost.
That's the one that's
licensing
230,
needs
that's
to
two,
move-
that's the one I questioned about 230. And did you want to put $30 more in that account?
No, I'm gonna have to look at that
Picky.
on a, let me look at it a little bit closer.
Okay. He'll be back.
Yeah, I don't want to pay.
Okay, while we're waiting for him. Are you ready 5 minutes early?
Travis isn't here yet, but that's all right, we'll wing it.
Okay,
Just for, I mean, you probably see some of the increases already from Delta and dispatch. Those are givens. The payroll, that's all. But Lisa Lauren have done, but I guess they divided and changed things around a little bit. We went up on a few line items like hose testing. That's getting, well, they require now us to do forestry, the forestry hose. So So that was an added increase. Pump testing was up a little bit, so we went up $500 on that. The maintenance was a big thing, we went over on that, some of that was, oh, we had somebody that was doing our work, but he kept putting stuff off, and finally I got tired of waiting. We started taking them to Greenwood, so there was a long list of stuff to get done, and, that's why that went over. So hopefully that'll be, we did go up 10,000 on it, but hopefully we'll be staying steady with it and we'll have multiple year fixes on there.
Greenwood's really good.
Yeah, they've cleaned a lot of things up. Still got some more to do, but it's all minor stuff now.
What kind of service they provide there?
Oh, they work on the pumps and all of that, pressure
This
relief.
one? What about furnace?
What's that?
Do they do furnaces?
No, this is for the
all
fire trucks.
truck.
Oh, it's fire.
Yeah, they do all pump, they did our pump testing this year. We had some, some valves that weren't working, pressure relief valves that, 2 trucks that were not working. They fixed both of those, that's a lesson. We all know about the Delta, that's gonna not probably ever go down, it's always gonna keep going on.
But that was better because we originally budgeted worst case scenario, I think at 65 per capita. But we just got that letter,
But that's gonna be for this year. Fairfield pulls out, which they're talking about, Fairfield's looking at going to transporting. And not paying Delta, so then, of course, the
it
rest
may
of us.
The rest will go up,
So
but that
that's
would
when
be
it
in,
Go to the 65 instead of 35?
Yeah, right now for 2025, we'll be at
it'll be
35.
2026 before we'd see that hit from Fairfield.
Yeah, there'll be a while time they get trucks and
Again, and,
people and.
and the
Yeah, we just met-
EMTs and,
Yeah, we just met because we were looking at replacing the rescue truck in, 6-1. It's 3 years out to get a truck right now.
3
So,
years
we order it
out.
Right now, it'll be 3 years.
You got an ambulance.
We'll see it, so.
wow,
So unless they can find some used ones, they're gonna be.
yeah, it's gonna be a
82
while, yeah.
At minimum, so they'll be a while,
yeah.
at least a
Okay.
year, I would think. but-
Penny?
I was wondering, we were looking at, putting money away for a truck. And who knows what the interest is gonna do in the next 4 years, but I'm wondering if it would be better to order the truck now, because in 3 years it would be.
Oh, we are, we're speccing it out right now.
Okay, and.
We have a capital reserve for that.
Right, and I'm wondering if we can take the capital reserve out and put the payment down rather than put it
Yeah, that's what,
aside, it's not gonna.
yeah, but we gotta spec it out, there's a spec process, we met with one company last week or week before. I got another one coming in, I just emailed the crew, it was December or something. 10. So we gotta have 2 or 3, we got another vendor that we wanna have come in, and then we gotta put a whole spec out, and we gotta put it out for bid.
Okay.
But yeah, if we put the deposit down, then when we have the capital reserve,
We have the capital reserve, plus we have, I think, 500.
98.
In, to add to it this year, and my question was, would it be better to put the, purchase in and put that money towards it now rather than.
nah, we're not ready for it yet, though, we don't have a price yet. It'll be probably after the first of the year before we'll even have, I'm thinking February maybe. Before we get pricing, then we gotta put it out for bid, 'cause that's, you're talking $300,000 to $400,000. So I mean, the pumper is probably 4 or 5, the rescue truck probably 2 or 3, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things will definitely have to go up a bit, but I don't know what our total, I mean,
You
we're
got
asking for 200.
598 in your, truck reserve right now,
How much is it?
598.
Right, and then we're asking for the 2 and 2 again,
Yes,
at that.
Yep.
All works out. Yeah, so 590, you said 598?
yeah,
You'd be looking. So, you're looking at probably $700,000-800,000 to place some 2 vehicles, maybe more. Probably more. Yeah, might be even closer to nothing. Crazy. Well, we bought the last set of trucks and then we were like, we thought we did it. The select board was like, yeah, do it, but you need another truck, so that's when we did the tanker and the pumper, and we bonded that. 10 years?
Yeah.
Then we paid it off early, and that was a good thing, because we're not buying trucks for that price. It's crazy. And of course, the payroll, everybody always asks, but we haven't done, the last volunteer pay. For the year, we get paid twice a year, that'll be coming in, the last day of December. Will be the payroll for that, whatever that pay period is.
So you wait and pay that at the very end of the year.
We do twice a year, we used to do it once, but somebody said we had to do it twice.
Yeah.
That was against the law to do it once, we do it twice.
So June and December,
Yeah,
Well, we pay out July and then the last
right?
payroll in December.
And if
so
you-
we have 6 months of volunteer pay, and with the rate calls we've been having lately, it's up there.
Yeah.
And for transparency or just to avoid confusion, if you look on page 10, wages, you've got wages, payroll tax, and then full-time. So previously, we had full-time, wages there. And then the wages line was our volunteer twice a year, payout.
As well as per diem.
Right, so we combined everything into one line, which is wages, which is consistent throughout the
So
budget
that's
for all
why that's
departments.
228.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Full-time, full-time.
Yes, look at a couple lines.
Because I was confused
Yeah,
myself.
look at a couple lines
Yeah.
down, Dan, on 1014, full-time, it says 0.
Yeah,
I thought
Oh,
you
yeah,
were
okay.
volunteering this year.
Wages. This line is consistent throughout the budget for all departments, so.
Yeah.
okay.
So I looked at that, I'm like,
What?
I said, that's your guys' thing.
Fancy accounting.
Okay, anyone have any,
Why is the payroll taxes less than this year?
well, last year we didn't do payroll, we didn't break it out, did we?
Right, it was not broken out.
Oh, yeah,
So that line was probably a benefit, it was probably a benefits line,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
which now shows as payroll tax.
yeah.
So overall. Right, so we budgeted in 2024, 279, 400, and we're budgeting 2025, 300, 750.
Right.
Now. I can't think of any other major increases that we have, we try to keep flat as we could.
Most of it is just contracted,
Yeah.
repairs, that sort of thing, Dan.
And some haven't been paid, like the compressor. That hasn't been done yet.
So we were way over in fire trucks, but you figured the 30,000 is gonna be enough for next year.
What was that, sorry?
Fire
Fire.
trucks, you were, was it fire trucks you're under?
Yeah.
3504, we were actually at 42.3 this year. But I know you had a lot of repairs. But we only budgeted 30 for next year, is that because you think you're over the big hump of,
Well, yeah, we're hoping, I mean, we try. And just,
so I guess I'm asking, is 30 enough, or do we need to have that be a higher number?
Right.
You could always pull from reserve if you
we
needed.
still got, I mean, a few things, as long as we stay on it, I think we're gonna be good, I could be demanding, if it does it again next year, then I think we'll. I
Okay,
think we stay up with it, we had like 2+ years of stuff to get done, and then
Yeah.
they hit one truck for like 3 weeks, so.
yeah,
Hopefully, if we stay on it and not let it get a big list that
right, okay,
I'd leave it like that for this year and then we'll,
okay, just wanted to make sure you had enough.
yeah.
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 Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Thank you. Are you doing your own, are you firemen doing your own maintenance on these trucks, or do you send it out?
No, I'll send it to Greenwood, but it's too complicated for it. I mean, we do the small stuff and we do the truck checks every month, yeah. just
Yeah.
to make sure everything is working and stuff like that, but any of the repairs, like, the pump test has to be done every year for state, for the state of Maine. We have to show all that, that's how we got our, when they come in to inspect us, like for the SHAPE program, and they look for that hose testing, pump testing, then all our medical records for every firefighter rescue station. So some of it has to be documented for that.
Thank you.
You say you go to Greenville?
Greenwood, they're in Brunswick.
Okay.
Brunswick, yeah, there's one in, they got Brunswick, but we also, there's another guy in Augusta, we've used it before. This other guy, we used to come right to the station, but Greenwood does too, they'll come right to the station. As long as, unless it's major, then they want it down there. Like they did the pump testing right here on, the Bartlett Road at that dry hydrant. They came right here and did it.
Anyone have anything else?
No.
And the reserve accounts, 200 and 200 works,
That's what we've been doing. Yeah.
okay.
Are we putting some into the tower capital reserve too? Is that somewhere that?
Oh, yeah, we did, that was, yeah, good one. We did have that on.
Yeah, I don't see that anywhere.
Did you build Rome? Rome phase, and we're gonna go up on that, I talked to Gary because of price of. The repeaters and all that.
For you, as a matter of fact.
Huh?
I got 2 years for you, as a matter of fact, because last year never came in.
Oh, perfect. But we're gonna go up, right now it's $350, we charge Rome. But the repeater is like, the new one is 15, 20 grand or something like that, it's just crazy, so it gets. Something happens to it, we gotta replace it, which we are right now replacing it. We need to go up on the maintenance aspect, like we replaced the antenna, the cable. More recently, so that was an expense, they deteriorate over time.
Yeah, so should there be another reserve? Is that what
We
you're
have
saying?
it,
We have a reserve.
we just,
We've got, 1,996 in there right now.
right, 1,900?
But we didn't budget for anything for us to put in.
No,
I think
nobody.
I think we had that on our sheet.
Yeah, we had it on our sheet.
Either
I don't
I think
remember
we had the
seeing it.
350. I would do the 350 for us again. And then next year we'll go bigger. You know what I mean? And I'll roll put 1,000 or 2,000 and we'll do the same next year. So we should be, if we're putting in 350, we should be putting in.
$350
Yeah,
Or do you
just for
want-
this year to match what they're doing.
for a reserve.
Well, they.
Yeah, into that
Theirs
tower.
was 300.
So that's gonna be a special reserve account request.
Idea.
Was it 300?
It's 300. Yeah,
I know,
'cause
I
I just
have to go look at the
posted
bid.
it. I just posted it.
All right,
so.
another 300.
300.
Well, that we're already paying out the capital. The select board already approved. That would come out of it, because Rome's paying half and we're paying that thing. And that's not gonna come out of the tower.
Did you get your
The select board already approved that.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. So on the reserve account request, we're gonna have a special request for $300 for the tower. Is that a reserve
Well,
account
just a
request?
line item, I guess.
I don't know, that was my,
Yeah, I
where it
don't
needs
know
to be
why we've
somewhere.
never done it before, but I think it should just be a line item that an expense that comes out of us to go into the to the tower.
No, you just.
Well,
do
but
you
shouldn't
do
it
as
go
a
into
capital
that
reserve.
account?
You have to do it as that, all right.
Yeah, there is a tower. Yeah, there is, it's got $1,900 in
Yeah, so is that how you have to do it? You don't line item, you have to,
Right,
it. You have a reserve, so you
Reserve,
would.
so just like
Yeah.
the other one.
300.
right.
So the 60600 would have a $300 request to it.
And
Okay,
next year we'll go up on the. Gary had already done his budget for this year, so now we keep it the same.
okay,
Just funny to have.
It's all gonna be new this
I know.
year, so hopefully there'll be no expense.
yeah, it's funny,
Right.
Looks
200,000, 200,000,
Yeah.
$300.
I know.
But if that's what we have to do for accounting, then that's what we have to do, so. Anything else, Dan, Barbara?
No.
Okay,
No other questions here.
Melanie, are you comfortable enough with public service and, public safety?
Do we have two changes or?
The only new change for what's in the book is that power reserve, right?
Well, we had increases for,
You had increases, but
You
from
did.
what was printed, that's the only change,
yeah,
to only change tonight,
Right.
okay? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
Happy Thanksgiving.
and I got your email on the street, I'll get them all.
I didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I got some off, we don't have a fire, but I know somebody who does.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Happy Thanksgiving all.
thanks.
okay.
Give it.
Lorna, are you gonna speak to debt service?
Sure.
Thank you.
Do we need, before we go out public safety, do we need to do ACO?
No, that's all under public safety. Thing. So we finished the road bond payment in 2024 this year. We'll begin a new paving round, next year.
Great.
The recommendation is 6.24 miles of roads. And there is a list on page 50 that shows you that. Pike Industries has given a rough estimate of 280 a mile. The road reserve account currently has, and I didn't put that in, but I believe it's 888. Yes, 885,
Oh, 885, 5,000,
yeah,
500, I'm sorry.
yes. Debt service includes the town office bond, legal fees, TAN legal fees. We haven't drawn anything from that yet, past couple of years. And then new estimated numbers for paving and the fire station bond. The fire station bond was already approved at a special town meeting. So at the bottom of page 49, this came from the main bond bank. They gave estimates, so we'd have something to budget with. That first one shows you the paving bond, which is 3 years. First year you do interest only, and then you have payments after that.
Oh,
We should, or recommendation would be to begin funding that reserve account again to prepare for the next round of paving. We've got such a great amount to go toward, the work that we're gonna do next year. So it reduces what we've got to borrow. So it would be my recommendation to add some more to the public works, reserve for paving next year. That's information is on page 50, kind of in the middle where the list of roads are. At the bottom of page 50 shows you, estimate for the fire station bond, which would be a 15-year bond. Year one is interest only. And then it gives you the, principal and interest, payments on that. The estimated cost on page 51 for the fire station project, we'll round it 6.4 million. We've applied for and are waiting for the final step in the grant process for the congressionally directed spending funds. 4.7, almost 4.8 million. And we have, at the time I did this, we had 628 in reserve for the building. So the balance to bond would be just under $1 million. So that's really good for a project like that to
Yeah, that
only
is.
have to bond a rate around $1 million. At the bottom of page 51, we've broken out, what we have for figures, includes the legal fees, town office principal and interest payments, and our road bond and fire station bond interest amounts.
What's our year-to-date for legal?
I'm sorry, what was that?
We don't have anything under year-to-date for legal.
So this is debt service.
I think Nick had put that under, interest and not legal.
Oh, there is a line for legal, sorry.
He didn't, I don't know why he put it there.
The line for legal under the death penalty should be for preparing the legal stuff for the bond.
Right. Yes, like if you look under debt interest, the TN 4204 on page 52. You have a budget of 7,000, but you spent 3,050, that's legal fees. That's not interest. So each project, like the road bond, the fire station bond, the TN, anything like that, you're looking at legal fees. Three to 3,500 to 4,000.
Per thing?
Yes,
Yeah, we-
yeah, we're paying over 3,000 every year for legal fees to get the TN.
That's it.
Yeah. That's why we put that, at the bottom of page 51, we put, the budget request at 12,000 for legal.
So that you get it for all the other pieces.
Yes, for all of those projects.
Okay, so if when we put our capital reserve into a different account and we don't have the float, for lack of a better word, are we then now we haven't had to use the TAN, but we're probably going to have to use the TAN.
I suspect.
Has that interest shown somewhere here?
We have no idea what it would be. Until we put that out to bid. We have no idea.
So how do we budget for it?
I don't know.
We usually have a number by January, usually go out to bid by January, so we
Yeah.
have that number for
Yeah.
the.
So we'll
I
have that
doubt
number.
we would have it, I doubt we would have it in time. I mean, if you want to. I don't know.
We've called banks like, and asked for what they thought their interest rates were gonna be involved.
I can check with a few, Camden Northeast, Androscoggin, see what they give me.
Yeah.
Do we know how much we're going to be asking, how much the TAN we're gonna be using?
I believe in the past, we've been getting a $2 million TAN.
Right,
You'd have to go back and look how much we've used the last time we used it.
well, but the last time we used it, we still had the float, right?
Right.
Mary?
I was just gonna say, in 2019, when I came, we used it all. We had to, we didn't have enough money to get by. We used every penny of it.
And that was what, 2019?
2019, we used it all.
Do you remember how much it was then?
It was a 2,000, I'm at 2 million, 10, yeah, we didn't have enough money to get through, so we had to.
And the kind of the figures I've done roughly, I figure we're probably gonna be,
I think we'll be over that.
yeah,
Which means you better get a larger tent.
yes.
Yes,
Right.
I was thinking probably,
2.5,
yeah,
2.7.
that's what I had for rough numbers.
So we're going to need to save a space to put that in here.
Yes, I can do some checking and see what I can get for you so that we
Oh,
can put
some rough
something,
number to work with.
so that we can put
Yeah.
something in.
So you
for-
do, that's what we've done
Yep.
before, is we go hold the bank,
Yep, I
ask for a
didn't
rough
think of
number,
that.
said, we're not asking you to commit, because it's gonna
Yep.
go out to.
Right, but
Right,
some
but
idea
we're
for
just
what.
looking at
Usually what we do is go the high side in the book and on the article, and then somebody on the board, if it's lower, adjust it on the floor.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Is it helpful to go back to this year and figure out when we would have had to start using the tan if we didn't have the float? Would that help us in nailing that number down?
I actually did that. I don't think I have it with me.
Okay,
I actually did that because we talked about that at the last meeting.
right,
And my projection, just rough, very rough, 2.7 is what we would need. And Bruce, I
I've
think
done like
you
2.6,
did a
so
rough and you
I
came
think
out
it's,
very
I think
similar.
she's probably closer, because she knows the numbers better than I do.
right.
You're thinking
So-
you're gonna need 2.7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't think you should
So
have
is that
for like-
April? Is that March? I mean, when do we?
It was
run into-
fairly, I have a time, I've got it already done on,
Okay.
I did a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
All I did was take, numbers from this year and last year and estimated what we're bringing in, what we're expending.
Right, yeah,
And where we're gonna fall short according to what our account, our GL account is
right, what
right
it used to
now.
be, yeah.
And where we're gonna start pulling that money. Yeah,
Okay,
What was our interest rate last year?
I wanna say it was, I don't know why, I think 5.61 or
I was thinking 5.7.
6.51.
is right, 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5.
Because we could use that as a number for now too, if we had to. It should be lower than that this year, because interest rates are
Yeah,
starting.
they may
to go
drop
down.
again, but you know, the amount.
But I don't expect it's gonna be more than that.
yeah,
For the tan that you asked for, if you think you're gonna need 2.7 million, you're not gonna ask for a 2.7 million credit line, right? I mean, you'd ask for like 3 million or something. Just
You
so that
could
you
do
have a
3
buffer.
because you're only going to pay interest on what you actually use.
Correct.
Right.
That'd be my
And the
recommendation.
cost to set it up is the same, it's the
Right.
legal fees.
yeah,
So yes, you could certainly do a 3 so that you're covered, feel good about it, and only draw what you need.
And you might get a little better interest rate too, than what you asked for. Sometimes they give you a little better interest rate.
I checked on line of credit with Northeast Bank, they could do it, but interest rates, he said, they would not be able to touch a TN. And if you're over $1 million, then you're gonna get into legal fees.
So
So-
last year we did 2 million and the interest rate was 5.51. That can't be meshed.
Yeah, 5.5, okay.
Good find.
I know we talked about this last time, but I've forgotten what the answer was. What happens with the leftover of the tan?
You don't touch it.
It's like a line of credit,
It's like a home equity loan. You
right,
don't
like
touch
a
it, nothing
HELOC.
happens to it.
Yes, it's there if you need it, but if you don't touch it,
It stays in the bank.
yes,
No,
Yeah.
once the period's up and goes.
that's
away.
it, yeah. Yes, yeah. So I'll check, some area banks for a rough idea and I'll ask them for 3 million.
okay,
If they can't give you anything, I would use last year's interest rate for now,
Yes,
because I
okay.
don't believe it's gonna be higher than that. Because interest rates.
I would think, yeah, I would think
Yes,
it'd be a little.
It's
lower.
dropped 0.5% since last year.
Yep.
The prime has.
okay, anything else under debt service? Everyone okay? All right, so. What's next? Revenues.
So revenues, if you look at the 2025 initial, what we did was we used the town reporter, what we applied to reduce taxation last year, same line items. Although I was thinking about this tonight before I came in the. Where's Benny? Oh, right, for line 59. I think that we should be cautious about what we put down for a figure there because we're applying bank interest for the checking account
Oh, that
which
has all the reserve
contains all
money.
of the reserve account money. So once we split that out, it will be, what you see 2024 year to date will be a different figure. So I would just caution us, on that.
Do you think 50's budgeting too high?
So
What do you think?
up until now, the interest on the designated funds or the reserve accounts has not gone to the reserve accounts, it's gone to the general ledger.
You are correct.
Ooh, okay, that's what I thought, and I'm like, no, I'm not understanding it correctly.
You are.
I am, okay,
But that's gonna change.
It is.
Yeah.
We'll do it properly.
So,
Once you know, you're responsible, right?
so do you think that 50,000 is over? Too much?
Well, we're gonna, I'm sorry. Last month, oh. You gave me that somewhere. Last month, we earned 33,000. But our account balance, Lisa checked it this afternoon, we're at 7.6 million. Right now, we've got 400 in the split off account, which is supposed to be reserved. When we were testing it, moving funds just to see how it worked with Northeast. So if we pull 3 million out of that 7.6, you've got 4.6. And if we pull 1 point something in revenue and another million to fund reserve accounts, if we did that again this year, then you're down to what, 2.6. So that's what's supposed to carry you with a little bit of income each month, you know, yeah. So it's not gonna be a lot earning.
So,
and we're not gonna be earning interest when we're borrowing from the TAM,
correct.
or it'll be minimal.
You are
right?
correct, yeah.
That's
So
what I'm
for-
saying, should we change that 50 down to 25 to be safe?
That's fine.
You may want to.
So when do we start to go into the red? Is it March or
Yeah,
April?
that, I
Oh,
would,
that you don't know,
Yeah,
is that
I-
about right?
I do have a spreadsheet that I did that I'll send out. I'll
Okay.
make myself a note to send that out to you. And they're just rough figures.
Absolutely,
But it gives you an idea of where we may begin to see the need to draw and for how many months.
right,
And I'm just using historical figures.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
we
that's-
have, we have no idea, right? But
but I
it'll give
mean,
you
to
an
me, that
idea.
would make sense, it was probably be March, maybe, you might stretch to April, but
So would everybody be comfortable on line 59 to decrease that to 25,000?
I'd rather be safe than, in my personal opinion. How does anyone else feel?
Safe meat being what, keep it at.
Same.
50?
No, drop it to 25.
Yeah.
Well, the goal should be to populate the undesignated fund and not drawing so much from it.
Correct.
To balance our budget, we shouldn't have to borrow from the TAM, we shouldn't need a TAM. Because we should be self-sustaining, which we have in the last 2 years. Last year, what threw us off was that 500,000 coming out of undesignated fund wasn't intended to come out.
Yes.
So
Well,
then-
technically, you haven't been self-sustaining because your designated funds have been in the general funds for several years.
Yeah, so
So
we're
you're not really even.
robbing Peter to pay Paul. We've been doing that for the last 4 years,
The
5 years.
reserve account, we're using the reserve
Thanks, that's
accounts
20.
and the interest.
I think since 2020, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul, or maybe even a bit before that.
Scott,
Technically, if you borrow money from another fund, you should pay that fund interest. So you could self-fund it and pay that fund interest.
so
It's
what's
not,
the
it's not
mechanism?
legal to use designated funds for another purpose.
Right, you just have to pay the interest for borrowing the money. Whatever the prevailing interest is.
Correct.
But what's the mechanism to borrow that?
Not borrowing from a designated account, are you saying to
You-
borrow
you-
from the?
you could borrow it
undesignated
from-
fund and then pay it back with interest?
Yes, if you're borrowing the money from another fund. you should be paying that fund interest just as if you were borrowing it. So you would figure out what the prevailing rate is, and then over the term of how long you're borrowing that money, you would pay that fund back, that interest.
But you're saying it's not legal, Lorna, to do that?
I have never heard of what Scott's mentioning, but I will look it up, or if you have that information, would you send that to me, Scott?
Lisa, what is your take on that?
You still have to have permission from the citizens to do so.
We'd have to have a warrant article.
Correct. Because your warrant article is saying the citizens of this town have told you to put it in a designated fund and it's only to be used by that, for that fund.
And not spend it at all. in
And
any
not
way.
spend it for anything except for what that was intended, period. In order to use it for any other purpose, you are by law. This is what my classes told me, by law, get permission to do so.
You have another town meeting, a special town meeting.
Correct.
Or you have a warrant article that allows you
Yeah.
to do that. No.
Correct.
So do we have to be expected?
I can't hear what everybody's saying, sorry.
It has, if they're gonna take the money, it
So
has
if
to
we
be
had a
that time.
position and they weren't over their allotted hours normally, and we didn't have enough money, say in November, to pay them for the end of the year, we cannot borrow the money to pay that person from any other line item.
No, we're talking about reserve accounts,
Only from your designated. funds.
designated reserve accounts.
If it's an undesignated funds, you have permission to move and group. Your designated funds are designated funds and cannot be moved from those designated.
But you don't have any authority to pull from undesignated unless unless it was approved at town meeting. You have no authority to expend anything other than what is approved at town meeting.
You will.
For your budget.
Right.
The only thing that you can go over is winter roads. That's the only thing you can
I
go
was just
from.
gonna make a point on the bank interest, you don't have to put it into that warrant article at all, you don't have to put the interest in there, because all it is to reduce the commitment.
Right, tax.
The tax commitment, so you could put 0. It's gonna show previous years, but you could put 0, you don't have to put the bank interest in, as a matter of fact, we have warrant articles showing the revenues to reduce commitment that didn't have bank interest in it in previous years, so it's the board's decision.
I'm not sure how you do that because it's an obligation for the town.
But yes, and it's not that you're not gonna have the bank interest, but you don't have to use it. The warrant article says to reduce the overall commitment. So you don't have, we have other revenues that we take in, Scott, that we don't put into warrant articles. So it's the same thing, it's just gonna stay in the general fund.
Are we talking about interest earned or interest expense?
Interest
Interest earned,
Right.
right, okay. Yeah, I get it.
So, I mean, truth be told, interest can vary.
Yeah.
You know, so something
We
can
have no
happen, you
idea.
never know.
We have no idea where the interest rate's gonna
Correct.
go.
Okay. I'm sorry. If you can do a warrant article to borrow from reserve accounts, does that have to be done at a special meeting? Or can that be done at the annual meeting just to have it authorized?
I thought we were talking about using from the.
I would assume it could be a warrant article for annual town meeting.
And you'd have to vote on it yearly, I think,
Oh,
each
yeah.
town
Yes,
meeting.
yes, for sure, yeah.
I would be careful.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
myself. That's, to me, it's not clean.
Yeah, I would be,
No,
No,
I
not only that,
you would do it.
should have, whoever's doing the books would have to keep calculating the
Yes.
interest every month, what
Right.
the interest rates are. and
A
everything
tan
else.
is
Yeah.
cleaner.
I was gonna say a tan is cleaner.
because already, I don't know how long these designated funds have been
That's a,
not designated. I don't know what the interest rates have been during that time.
Right.
2016.
So
You know,
we
so that fluctuation of interest rate, I have no idea to technically pay it back.
There'd be no way.
I have no way of knowing. So at this point,
We're just gonna do it right
Yeah.
going
So
forward.
partially,
Right.
yes,
Move forward.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, move forward, the right way.
From the overly complicated.
I'm
Yes.
sorry,
What you're saying is that the TAM keeps it from becoming overly complicated.
absolutely.
And kept the interest of
Yeah.
25.
And it goes to 3,500.
Penny?
our insurance. John,
I wonder if
town.
we couldn't take the.
is the town insurance.
I can't
Wait a
hear with
minute.
everybody talking at once.
I wonder if we couldn't take the total amount of interest that we've received on those undesignated funds and divide it equally as a percentage of the amount of the undesignated. In other words, take each one and find out what percentage of the interest it goes to that fund and then divide it up that way.
That's how it would be
That's
calculated
how it'll be
going forward.
calculated. But that'll have to be done anyway.
Yes, that
But I mean
would,
back.
it would be, no,
Yeah, we're not.
Can't go
that's impossible.
You're gonna do, so are you gonna do the interest earned in 2024? Are you gonna separate that out into the capital reserves? Well, cause you know what you got paid for percentage for interest. And you know what each capital reserve has in it,
Right, based upon the amount.
based on the amount, because once again. As of last year, and I believe I'd have to look at the annual report or the year before, it states in there, the interest will be going into the capital reserve. I can't remember if it was in last year's or which years it was, but it was,
Where would that be?
So-
it was in an article because it's the interest, we was not getting the interest on the capital reserve, so it was supposed to. I can't remember if it may not have been, it may have been just
Yeah, I mean, I
between
could-
on board. both of
And-
them.
And we committed 50,000 of that interest in 2024 to reduce taxes.
Right.
So we've already taken
You've already-
some of that.
50, you've already took in 50,000, but you've earned $181,000 in interest. Some of that should be going back to the capital reserves. The taxpayers expect that, and I think it should be going that way.
He's not wrong.
No, I know.
By any means, he is
It's
not wrong.
And wouldn't that be the
Figuring
way
it
to
out.
do it? Just figure out like.
You'd have to
just-
do it every month.
Every
It would
month.
have to be done every month and
No.
Well, no,
just
if you're
take the
trying to-
Total and divide it by the percentage
By the
of,
percentage.
like,
of the-
if there's 50,000 in a fire truck, you take whatever percentage of the total that is and take that out of the interest and put it in the fire truck. It seems very simple. To me, what am I missing?
You're applying the interest as a yearly interest as opposed to that.
it's done monthly.
Right, you're taking the total for the
Every
year
month.
and applying it
Change
proportionally to those
every month,
amounts.
so you can, you have to do it every month based on the.
Well, we
amount
could be
that's
all
in the
doing it.
bank.
Okay,
We got too
Mary,
many,
can you,
we got too many
can you talk to
conversations.
everybody?
So it's just really complicated because some of that money doesn't get transferred till the end of the year. So you have to go back to the money that's designated to the reserve accounts gets transferred at the end of the year. So you have to go back to the end of 2023 and whatever was designated at that time. And then you have to go month by month because our interest changed and different things happened with Northeast. When Nick was here, we had increases, we had decreases, so
Okay, if for simplicity's sake,
for simplicity's sake, could we average legally over the year what the interest was from Northeast Bank? So say, what are we getting right now, 7?
I don't know.
I'd have to go
I'd
look.
have to go look.
because
I'm
I'd
not
have to go
positive.
look too.
I think anyway,
But you have to go
anyway,
back to
we decided to do it would
2023's.
be an improvement over what we're doing
Yes.
right now.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yes.
100%.
I think
Just show.
I think that's how you have it.
Right, just to show
For the first
something.
year, that's how
Right.
you have to look
Right.
at it.
and you've got to take 100 and, if you're at 181 and we're keeping 50 because that's what we put in our revenue.
Right.
Then you're taking 131. So I'm just saying, if here's what your average is, and this account is 2.1 of the total, then it should get 2.1 of the annual interest that we're playing with.
Mhm.
And do that for each of those and assign it and say, that takes care of 2024. It's not perfect, but
It's definitely.
that's the fairest way we could do it. And then next year, we start applying it monthly or,
Well,
As
if
it
it's in
comes.
its escrow, it'll take care of itself.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
so we
just have
take
to
the
figure it
total,
out
subtract the
for
50,
24. Correct.
and then take proportionately that piece to those funds.
But living up to the spirit and the intent that Bruce talked about, I think is a good thing for the town,
Right.
Right,
right? Because we're being mindful of it, we're talking about it now, and putting something in place to improve than what is way better than what we had from before.
right.
So this is, I think, a good direction to be going, so. Let's do
I know
that.
it's a lot of work and unfortunately, I wish it never would have got changed from, I think Mary said 2016, I
I
heard
think
her
it was
say.
2016, they
It-
did a
it should not have
consolidation.
I was gonna say, at one point you were, the town was appropriately allocating that interest.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, and then our funds got low and we had somebody come in and some towns do keep, their reserves and operational, but they're small reserves. And the large reserves are kept as a separate entity. I actually had, Doug Mather from Oakland come in, when I was sitting in that spot, so, and he says that's how he does it. All his big ones, the small ones are manageable through your operational, but the large reserve accounts, those are hard
Yeah.
to recoup after you consolidate, so.
so is everyone comfortable with doing it annual, take off the 50, splitting it, allocating it proportionately? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
But
Penny?
you're talking about just 2024?
yes. Because we can't go, trying to go backwards, I don't think you can, you can't unring the bell.
4 different treasurers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
I think we
5.
just fix it for this year.
Correct.
Say, mea culpa, it was incorrect, we've now fixed it, this is our best way of allocating it. We're doing it in, the best way we can do and move forward.
Right,
And
and
next year, we'll make
Right.
sure that,
Right.
next year it will be already done because it'll be.
It'll be in that
accounts.
It'll be in that
separate
separate account.
account, which is sub-accounted.
Yeah.
Right.
Scott?
Are we sure that the auditors haven't made audit adjustments to do that?
Mary, you mentioned that the auditor would give us those final figures,
Well,
right?
the final figures are in your book, because everything doesn't get transferred, all the, like. 2024, say they put 200,000 in for the fire department reserve, that doesn't get transferred to the end of the year. So our final numbers that we're gonna be working with, if we're gonna move forward right now, are gonna be 2023's final audit numbers for reserve accounts. Because 24's won't be transferred till the end of the year, so we would work in 2025 and the 2024's.
Okay, so just make sure I have this straight in my head. So we wanted to put 200,000 in the fire department reserve. That was voted on in April or March. But we don't move that until January 1st of 2026.
No,
No,
2025.
no,
no,
has to be done before January first.
has to be done by the end of the year.
But
So
if we
the
don't
money
vote,
is-
wait a minute, we voted in the March town meeting. To move $200,000 into the reserve account. When do we move that money?
At the end of the year.
At the end of twenty
And
twenty-four,
that's probably to.
which would be
keep-
December 31st.
Is
as
that to
opposed to
keep our
January.
balance as high as we can
As
for the
high
year
as
for
we can,
operating?
Right, we don't pay out.
So you don't-
certain
right.
amounts of
Right,
money.
well, I assume that, so,
Yeah,
so it's not going to move till December 31st.
So what,
or, well, it won't be December 31st, but it will be
Right,
somewhere.
okay,
so what happens if one of them capital reserves spends that capital reserve before
Oh, God.
year end?
That's to move.
we, at the moment, we've been floating.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, if they're not transferring the money to the end of the year.
Right, but, we know that it still
It
gets
it
moved.
still gets.
So if you came in and said, we need 300,000, the full reserve account for
The
new
fire
plants,
station.
new plants.
That's
and
what I'm thinking about.
That's what I'm thinking about.
So, but, and you knew that we allocated, right, voters approved 200,000 more.
Yeah.
So you would get you would get that 300 plus the 200.
Okay.
Of course.
It's a station,
Yeah,
the fire
because
station.
it's,
is where my
it's in our
headquarters is.
system,
Right,
it's in our system.
okay, but just the fire station for us cooking in my head.
Okay.
What confuses me with that though, is if you vote on it, town meeting,
Yeah, I see.
you're not getting interest on that money that's supposed to be in your reserve account until after the end of the year.
You're
Right.
absolutely right.
That's right.
That's kind of weird.
It's a bummer.
Well, if we funded those accounts, we then would need to use the TAN earlier,
Right,
right? Am I saying
I
that
think that's,
correctly?
I think that's the whole point of it.
yeah,
Right,
we wouldn't have the cash.
right.
Right.
So we use the TAN.
Right.
Penny?
Why can't we move the money?
Well, because I think, if I have this clear, is if we moved it then, our lowest point is
That time.
March, April, May, June, till taxes start coming in.
Yeah.
So if we have 700,000 we're putting in reserve account, we're just gonna start backing that up, which means
I
we
think
then
it's-
are paying interest to move the money
Right,
to get interest.
right. You'd have to take a bigger
Right.
tan, yeah, you'd have to take a bigger tan.
Bigger can to allow you to
I
move
think
the
legally,
reserve,
You probably should move it.
huh?
I said legally, I think you should move it.
Well, maybe we should find
I
out,
don't know.
if
Let's
we've been
find out.
messing up, let's just fix it all now.
Because if voters approve it,
Well, it's
Right.
like,
Well, let's say you just told them you could take it the day after town meeting, they
Right.
could take that money out.
right?
We should
To
find
me,
out.
it should move, right, and earn that interest.
Let's make sure, if it's supposed to move, then we take a bigger tan.
I mean, it's been a mistake, it's been made since
When
16,
to move the
and
money.
we just kind of caught it at the tail end of budget season last
Move it
year,
out.
and
Immediate-
we really dug into it this budget season, that this mistake been made since 2016. Now we're trying to correct it, it's gonna cost us money to correct it, there's no ifs, buts about it.
Well, it'll be a cost of doing business moving forward.
Correct.
I'll check with them.
And maybe at some point, we wanna think about changing our tax year.
We've talked about that on.
Well, but then we start collecting our taxes
I
in
know.
July instead of going till September.
I wondered why not. I mean, I'm sure there are reasons not to.
Any?
You have to fund a year and a half first.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, but I think that may be part of our,
That's a big,
maybe
that's
not
the biggest
tonight's
reason why the
discussion,
tax
but that we
base.
look at.
But you only get you only get a tax bill every 6 months when you're going through that process. You don't get one bill all at once.
Yeah,
You're still only paying.
But you only get it for a year.
Since
Yeah.
2005.
I'm
For the
sorry.
first year is the only time that
We've
happens,
tried 5
Right, you are.
once you change, yeah.
Right, so you're not paying more.
Penny?
Some towns. Bill their taxes quarterly. And to me, that would, help necessitate not needing the TAN.
You have to change your
I
fiscal
think,
year
I
to do
think we
that,
need
right?
to, I think we need to look at quarterly. I know in New Hampshire, my building down there, they bill twice a year.
A lot of towns do.
Anybody can pay.
Well, in New Hampshire, since they don't have a sales tax, they drive all their revenue off their property, so it helps. You know, you pay the tax just a different way.
Scott said it, Sandy.
Scott?
Two things on that, or one thing on that, one thing on the fiscal year. You gotta realize if you spread your collection out, you're affecting your cash flow and your ability to earn interest. So, you gotta think about that. The second thing is, I had a resident from Benton questioning his tax bill, and Benton did switch from a fiscal to, or calendar to fiscal year. And they issued in between a 6-month bill. That's how they did it.
Yeah.
So, and the transition, when I was looking, because I looked at a 5-year span of this gentleman's taxes, and it seemed pretty smooth to me, the way they did it. So if you consider that, you might want to talk to them and see what worked for them.
You're not paying more and you're not paying more at one time. You're still paying the same amount. You get a bill every
Just say
6 months
monthly
for the
cost,
first.
just the way you
yeah.
bill it out.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
You're
well,
not
that,
paying.
The other thing
It all-
too is if you're getting any state money, which I don't know, I haven't seen any, but I think being in sync with the state process makes sense.
Well, and be in sync with the school budget, but
Yeah.
do we,
that too.
do we wanna? I know we're trying to get this done. Do we wanna do that at another meeting? We talk about
Yeah.
changing it?
Yeah.
Because,
The select board can make that decision.
Yeah, she
yeah,
can make
select board
that
can make it,
decision.
so, okay, well, let's put that, no, Lorna, if you put it on a hot list somewhere. Which it may be a hot list, but that we look at that, once we get through budget and get this done. That be one of the items that we need to seriously look at, especially the way we're looking at our cash flow. Okay. Anything else?
I had a question.
Yes.
So it's not on interest, it's another topic. So it's called building permit, so line 80.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the question is that number 8.789.58 represent building permit fees that we've collected this year so far? And have we changed the building permit fees? Is it time to change the building permit fee?
Yes.
that's something I think we need to look at.
All the obvious, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
So can
building permit fees, and we also need to look at penalty fees.
can we make that recommendation now to get that, to alter those?
Start looking at that.
Yeah,
to
you
get this
you
together.
received some information on the follow-up from the last
Yeah.
meeting, so you have something to look at. I
But
can
maybe
add
that's
to
a
the
January
hot
or
list.
February project, because
Yes,
once we get the warrant done and get that out the door,
I think.
that's something we need to look at. Cause we always talk about it, and when people get penalties, we always talk about people are paying penalties, and doing what they want, and just paying the fee.
Remember that?
So we need to have it, so they learn a lesson.
We changed topic a little bit. Remember, starting January, the school board started with the budget too.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta pay attention to that.
Melanie, you said you had a question, I'm sorry.
So should we bump the revenue amount? Are we thinking 6,000? We've been over 8,000 and 10,000 the last couple of years, so is 6,000 realistic?
Right, well, and I was looking at the boat excise tax, it's been 22,000 and 23,000 really. I know that we estimate revenues low, right, and expenses high.
Half of the boat excise tax goes into the water quality
Yeah,
fund.
yeah.
So.
Okay, okay,
So that's.
all right, that's why that's 10,000,
Thank
okay,
you.
all right. And what about the interest on taxes? That 10,000? Line 16. We budgeted 10,000, but it was 12 one year and 16.7 this year. Does that go someplace special too?
Well, we never know what it's gonna be. It's based on who pays their taxes on time and who doesn't.
10,000 is a safe.
We're
I
just
think
being
so. I
conservative,
think
okay,
that's-
I asked the question,
Cause that can fluctuate from
Yeah.
year to year, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
okay.
Why is there no revenue being calculated from the rec programs?
What line?
And there's line 35.
Oh,
23, 24, we said no. We weren't estimating any revenue.
Does that maybe go on the rec budget? They show their own income?
It should be here.
It is, and does it go, does it?
Doesn't go to the very,
It doesn't.
no.
I remember putting it in the rec section. Not showing up there though, no.
I remember Dan talking about the revenue he's bringing in.
Yes. Yeah.
I just,
Is that show too, right?
How come there are no actions?
Is it a special revenue?
Shouldn't be a special revenue.
Should be.
Because it should be the revenue coming from the recreation center programming And the fees are used to offset their budget along with their revenues.
Yeah.
Looks like it
So
hasn't
there
been put
should
in
be
there.
a line item there for the recreation.
No, it was there, because this is,
Where is it gonna be
No,
posted to?
It's
I-
not in.
yeah, maybe, I'm wondering, did they move it someplace? Here's the revenue on page 60.
Where are we going?
Oh,
Okay,
it's
Mary?
showing
I'll
on
look
paper,
on page
60.
60.
Maybe that line isn't used anymore.
Oh, there's recreation.
Oops.
So where is it? It's not, it's not in here, or is it?
Recreation, page 60.
Right, but aren't those consolidated in this? Or not?
Apparently that was-
I think the lines may have been, the trio lines may have been changed to use the
There's
ones that are on page 60.
Well, the sleep, that's the
recreation program,
25,
and then there's recreation. Oh, one general. Oh, it's
Because if you
92.
look,
The actuals for 2022 in page 60 are
this is number 30.
about 1,400. And
And
what's
it's
that?
all, yeah.
In 35, page 59, they're 8,000.
You see the department numbers are different on the top page, it says number 35. On page 60, it should be 25. And 25 is missing off from that page.
So our total revenue is this page 58 plus each of these other individual lines,
Yeah, it looks
is
like
what you're saying.
those individual lines aren't listed on page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it would be helpful to have all of those, so I could see them all at one place.
So recreation is 98,000.
Right, for this projected.
Right.
I'm not sure why she was doing it that way.
It's huge.
What code is that?
The recreation is on page 60.
This is all under general government.
Is Department 25.
Oh, you're right, general government,
On
Lisa's
page
right.
58.
Page 58 is our general government.
That's general government revenues.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So page 58 is basically, the codes that are used here at the town office when we enter them up here. If that makes sense,
So I mean, payments done here versus payment done at the rec center.
specific facility in a sense.
So in the town report, the recreation budget is offset by that revenue.
Right.
So the warrant article asks for, and this is, 2022, but the warrant article reads to see if the town will appropriate 69,000 from anticipated recreation revenue and raise and appropriate from
Right.
taxation $157,045 for recreation services, with any unexpended balance lapsing into the recreation capital reserve. So you have funding from non-property tax sources, which is your recreation revenue at 69,000, and that offsets what you're
Right.
going to raise and appropriate through taxation. So
No, I see where my
there's where you're
confusion.
using that revenue.
I mean, I guess,
69.
Well, that was in 2022,
It was 98.5.
but just to,
Okay.
so you could see how that is set up. It's being used to offset the budget.
So they take the whole amount of the budget.
Well, whatever the select board determines,
Okay,
right?
Scott,
yeah, I'm a little bit confused here. Where are you seeing the 69,000?
This is from the town report.
I don't care
Yeah.
about that. I'm looking in the budget. Okay,
It's not in there.
okay, so there's nothing, because when I pull up the revenue section, the two recreation lines, there's zeros.
If you go to page 60,
It's on page 60, Scott.
where it says Department 25 Recreation.
All right, you talking expenditures?
Revenue. I think, Scott, and what would confuse me is general government lists all these accounts. But there's not another page that says recreation, just the bottom line of each of those. So you can see that number.
Well, it does, if you look on the following pages.
I know, but it doesn't do a summary.
Well, because there are different accounts in Trio.
No,
Departments.
I know that.
Departments, sorry.
I'm looking at this as a summary, so my head tells me there should be another summary of all those custom accounts. That just.
You want the total summary.
Yes,
So,
Right, that's right,
huh,
that's right.
yeah.
what I'm saying, yeah, and then total it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think
That was
three,
the
big picture.
but I could.
That would
probably
be-
You have to do it,
And
then do it.
right,
So.
And no, there it is, right here. If you go to page 70, there's a big bold number.
What did you have?
but that's
Scott?
just one number. I guess, what I'm looking at is. If I wanna know, how much money does public safety bring? It brings in. I don't know, whatever we add that up to, and there's no summary line for that, the way there is under general government.
Yes.
And recreation is spread out in 3 or 4, instead of saying recreation brings this total.
Right there.
Well, it does
safety
have
is
year to
1,000.
date, $112,065.50.
I know, but I'll explain it later, I won't beat everyone to death here.
You got general government. And then you got a total down here for all those lines. There's no total for these lines
There is.
There is.
where,
The last number in each of those sections is a total.
Year to date
okay, so this is the total of,
budget
okay,
revenue to
You've
offset
got
the
rec
account.
in O
Okay,
one,
so that's what it is.
25.
That's the request.
that's
Yeah.
what she was saying. that she
Yep,
didn't see
year to,
those.
so last year's budget for revenue to offset that budget was 98.5. To date, we've taken in 112.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, I'm just saying
It's
there's
just-
not,
It's just distracting to see all
You
the,
have the different.
not to just have it lined up
to
like
have it
this.
lined like
Right,
this.
we have to hand do it.
Oh.
That's what,
Because
yeah,
these are all one thing,
no,
department
I
only.
understand totally,
Right,
I'm just saying why it's confusing to me.
right, okay,
Okay,
yeah.
and I think
Could be.
Confusing
maybe for
everybody.
some other people.
Right, but it does give you the information, right?
Oh, I know the information, it's just not easily found for me. I know
That's
that,
what we're budgeting, that's what we've taken in, and that was 2024.
I get it,
Right.
I get it. We're not disagreeing on the information. format.
They're different departments,
Right.
they're each a separate department.
Right,
Right.
In Trio, bonds.
That's what I said, I show you the.
So
Yeah.
these pages are right now.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it has more
right,
subcategories going on.
Right.
okay,
No,
now Melanie has a question, comment.
Okay.
You get that.
Bruce, Sarah?
Under waste hauler permits, I know when Denny was here, we were trying to really make sure that any waste hauler in town of Belgrade had a permit to do so. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in 2022, we had 423, 2023, 300, 2024, nothing. Are we still, are the folks who are allowed to haul waste into our landfill still paying a yearly permit fee?
Yes.
And if so, where's that money? Because when I go to their reserve account, I don't see anything broken.
Maybe it's
out.
not being received in for that, maybe it's just going to the transfer.
It's $100 fee and there's 3 of them.
Does anybody know?
Would it be in one of these custom budget things?
I looked at a custom budget
82.
or I didn't see it
Oh.
under solid waste. So,
So Department 15 doesn't have it.
January.
He does it in January.
So,
so we can, nothing that we have to tackle tonight, but if someone can just go back and make sure that the 3 haulers have paid their permit fees for 24. so that this line item can be collected. and
Oh,
make
one
sure
has.
that they're paying them every year.
Yeah, I know one has.
So we know there's at least $100 there.
Yeah, someone has.
Okay,
So that's line 82, Melanie?
Yep, that is on 82.
yeah,
And, junkyard permits, we have more than one junkyard, correct?
Yeah.
And I thought it was $100 junkyard permit, is it 50?
there's $100 paid so far this year, right?
You know what that permit fee is, maybe 50 junkyard.
Oh, the junkyard, it was, we had the two junkyards, so there were 250s.
Okay,
So that is correct.
okay, so. do you want me-
That was a lot of work. Any more questions on revenue? I mean, we've been all over the place. We've been to changing the tax share and
What's
moving the
96,
interest.
safety grant? That's.
Huh?
That's fire department when they apply for safety grant through MMA.
So we
You can
don't need
apply, you can apply each year, it's $3,000. You don't always get it, but that money is available, to them during the year or whenever to, buy safety equipment or whatever they
Didn't we get a
need.
safety
Yeah.
grant this year?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I thought they got one.
We got a safety grant this year, so that should show it there as well, correct?
Oh, we got it this year. I know we did last year, but I don't know.
We got a grant
Didn't we get
for,
one?
It says 22 is 0 for 23, 0 for 24.
the one we
This was the
Zero.
best safety
I'll
grant
take
this
out
year,
one.
'cause I remember being like,
oh, that 50,000
Didn't we get one this
for
year?
the pickup truck.
That's right.
Yeah,
And Dan, do you remember? Did they get a grant this year?
they got one
Do you
for the
remember?
pickup.
I don't know.
Maybe the months have
Oh,
flown
yeah,
by
we
so
did,
fast,
yeah.
I don't remember.
EMS, we got one from Maine EMS for
For the pickup truck.
the pickup.
Yeah, that's not in there though.
That's a 50,000.
That's, this is safety grant. That would be that 3,000.
Yeah.
For, from MMA. Safety grant.
Yeah, to get one from there, we usually get one, forestry. We get forestry grant every year.
Okay. Anything else on this? Obviously, little work we're gonna do on it. Can we move on to reserves? Everyone
Yes.
ready? Okay. Here's the dancing with the stars. Where's reserves? Yes, sir.
Reserves are basically the extra sheet I gave you all.
Oh, is that, oh,
Yeah, those are, she printed current balances as of.
oh, okay. Everybody have this? Sarah, I think this is what we're, you, is it there in the table?
If you don't have it, I have extras, but it was.
Yeah, I think, Sarah, did you get it? This was on the table.
It's on the table.
Right here.
Gary needs one.
Gary.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Sarah, next one, Gary.
You can have mine.
There's three here.
Okay. Lorna, do you want to walk us through this? 'Cause I'm not sure
Sure,
you want me to.
sure. If you look at page 1, in your binder.
Page 1.
Yes, page 1, underneath that yellow highlighted section
Okay.
is a block.
Yeah.
So that's got your reserve
Oh,
account
okay.
requests. I hand wrote in the tower for $300.
Oh, yeah.
Um, So each of those departments have requested funding of their reserve account, and then you'll see in that far right column the amount they would like to see. Cemeteries would be 20,000. That would be to replace the use of the golf cart. I can't remember what you called it, Bruce. A what? A gator,
Yeah, it's
Or
like a
something like
UTV style, something with a dump body.
right?
Yeah.
To use in the cemeteries. Facilities truck, you discussed that previously, we broke that out.
I thought
A
we were
little-
doing 40 on the truck.
He asked for 50. I don't know that we agreed to, I don't think we lowered it.
Yeah, because we haven't, tonight's the night to make that discussion, because we didn't
Yeah.
really get into the reserves at the last meeting, if I remember right. We discussed it, but we didn't
You
do any
voted
cut.
you voted on each of those.
We did as a budget.
Yes,
but-
budget.
But we
yeah,
haven't,
the board-
yeah.
The board hasn't.
You are correct. So the truck, the request is 50,000, facilities capital is 100,000. The maintenance garage, 10,000. Those accounts, facilities, would be a ramp at the North Belgrade Community Center, roof repair at the sand and salt shed, paving and drainage at North Belgrade Fire Station, a new front door at North Belgrade Community Center. Those are some of the things that would be covered.
That's under capital?
This
Yeah.
capital reserve account.
Yes, facilities, capital. The maintenance garage would be to finish up, the plumbing and septic and that sort of thing. The bathroom, the vehicle request, we already went over that, and then the cemetery was to replace that golf cart. Public Works, the roads and paving, which you, looked at when we looked at the Public Works department budget. That's just preparing for the next round of paving in 3 years. Public safety, the fire truck reserve account, adding 200,000. Public safety, the building, fire station building reserve, 200,000. The senior tax program, that we looked at was, right around 100,000. When the select board, we started looking at the new ordinance. By chance, I asked my contact at the state level if it were possible to break down the number of applicants by age. And if they could I have the number and a total amount? For anyone 70 or older who had applied for this credit at the state level and
Right.
received it, who also live in Belgrade, which they were able to do.
Okay.
Wow,
So it reduced the amount.
the amount that we
The
needed.
amount, correct, so 25,000 would cover. The 25% in that ordinance that you approved. The last time you looked at it at a select board meeting, it would also include those 4. Folks who would be able to volunteer up to and receive up to $500.
Right, right.
So that 25,000 would cover that amount. In a reserve, and then preparing for a reval, 2026, 2027. Would likely need to do that, start putting money into a reserve account, 200,000. So the total without that additional $300 request tonight would be $1,105,000.
$300.
And you are correct, $300.
Well done.
The budget committee voted and they voted on everything with the exception of the senior tax program to raise and appropriate. They voted on the senior tax program to pull that from undesignated because it was such a smaller amount as compared to the other requests.
So which ones, because usually the budget committee doesn't vote on something before the select board, this is what we used to do all together, is that we vote all together, because the budget committee is advisory.
Right, but
That's all it was.
that's all it was. All we're doing, we just vote to bring stuff to you guys.
I was just
as
sharing
advisory.
how they felt about it.
It's a recommendation.
Recommendation.
But when Dan was here, I spoke because we did vote on that truck, but then I asked him about, purchasing it now and.
Are you talking about the rescue truck?
Yeah, And rather than raising and appropriating and sticking in the bank, I was thinking that the price of a truck could be cheaper now than it would be in 3 years.
Right, but they aren't ready.
Right. but
They aren't ready
that's
to
what
do
they
that,
said.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Lisa gave you the updated, information on this sheet, as of today. Account balances, so that you could see that, what the reserve accounts have for balances.
Right.
Do we have some estimates on the items that were requested $100,000 sitting in the capital reserve account for facilities? Like, what is the issue with the sand and salt shed roof? This is the first I'm hearing about it.
I
What's the
believe
issue
Corey has
with
mentioned it
bids?
before, because there was an estimate in 2022 for 29,000.
But the screws are coming out of the roof and it's leaking.
All the screws have to be
'Cause
replaced.
I asked that question in my budget meeting.
Okay, so can we see that? I don't know, call it in 2022, 2024. So. I don't wanna have $100,000 sitting there and just happen to it, but we're not sure as a board what would approve that for initially. So if we have projects and sort of set amounts, I'm more comfortable with a bigger amount like that.
So you wanna see a breakdown of that $100,000?
Yeah, I mean, generally, if we're requesting that we're gonna do certain projects, we have an idea what the projects are gonna cost. We should have a breakdown.
So it was, what I have is 17,000 for the ramp at North Belgrade, roof repair at the sand and salt shed was 29,000 in 2022, so obviously it would be higher now. Paving and drainage at North Belgrade Fire Station, I'm not sure what that cost is. And new front door at North Belgrade, I do not know what that cost is either.
I think he told me he's getting the quotes right now.
So it sounds like Corey's out on vacation this week, so he wasn't able to be here or to Zoom tonight. And it sounds like Lisa just mentioned that he is working on getting some updated quotes. That we could share.
It's tough to get a company to quote on
They don't
something,
wanna do it.
you know, I don't wanna quote on something
It
that,
takes too much time for
right, cause
nothing.
you're asking a company to expend their time to give you a quote, but then you're gonna put out the RFP and they may not even get the job.
Right.
Right.
So you're asking, companies aren't doing that
And
anymore.
they're already too busy.
Yeah,
Right, so
Yeah.
we're just not, we shouldn't ask them, we should just wing it.
you could go ahead and ask them, do you know we gain prices back? Because I can tell you, there's multiple towns and multiple other entity businesses that ask for this so they can budget for this in the years to come, and nobody's doing it. I won't take the time to do it anymore because it's taken, it's taking time out of your time. If you're bidding for a job that's happening right now, and you're competitively bidding with other companies, that's when you do it. But when you're asking a company to, hey, give me a price to fix that roof. Oh, but we're gonna put that out to RFP. So you're not even gonna get you'll get a chance to bid on it, but you're not gonna get you probably won't get the job because you spec'd it. Everybody knows what your price is now. They're gonna undercut you.
The town office doors were almost
Right,
7,000.
That's the way to do it, is put out RFPs.
Wasn't it?
That's what my son said.
I thought it was like.
Yeah.
6,000.
Lisa, what was your comment?
The town office doors, I think that quote was,
Well,
or that bill was 7.
We've got quotes for the
Oh, I paid the bill, wasn't it?
updating the doors at Center for All Seasons. I think we have one for 19 something and one for 17 something, and Corey was gonna get one more.
100?
Didn't we just do?
17,000.
That was 1,000.
Thousand,
Those are
Yeah.
double doors.
Yeah.
right,
Oh,
Okay, now you have your hand
more
up.
than twice the cost that I thought it was.
Yeah.
So getting back to Melanie's point about how do we actually get information, something that's something close. If we can't ask businesses, what's the best method to even get
Sometimes
quotes?
somebody will go give you off the hip, you call, you get a business in town, they'll give you off the hip price.
All right, and just use that?
And it's gonna be elevated prices.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the best we can do, I guess. I mean, I want to make sure we got back to your question, because if
Right.
we don't have a reliable method that, uses a professional's experience, then it's more of an estimate.
I know, I can't remember what it was now, but I know it was one thing, well, I know this door was, this front
lot.
door was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know,
Gary,
Just put out an RFP.
Yeah.
You'll get all, whatever, who's ever's gonna bid on it.
That's right.
You'll get
Yes.
costs at that point.
For the one, for whatever one you put the RFP out,
Yeah.
or if you put out multiple RFPs, right? You know, it, and we could do that. But I'm not certain that we are ready to do multiple RFPs to, at this time,
To get this
understand what that number would be. So I'm just trying to come up with a way to understand what that number could be. I agree with you, I don't disagree at all.
That's why a lot of companies now are charging
for estimates.
charging,
and I know some of them will charge for a quote, and then if they actually bid on it, get the job, they'll
You get
take
the
that
credit.
quote off.
oh, take it
yeah,
off the
bill.
word, yeah.
Because, and the same thing, put out for RFPs, that's great, but you're only gonna do that once. And if you don't do it for 6 months, and then you decide that you're gonna do it, you have to go for RFP again, you're gonna have a lot of people that aren't gonna bid on it.
Right.
because
Right.
They've
Not
already
worth
gone
the
through this
time.
once,
Cause you've already shown your hand.
yeah, so, I mean, it is hard now, contractors are really,
Well, if you're not serious, don't put out an RFP then.
Right.
I mean,
I think,
if you're not serious.
I think Melanie's point was she wanted to have, clearer numbers looking at
If
this.
we're looking at 50,000 and we can get the projects done, then we ask for 50,000. If it's gonna be 70,000, we ask for 70,000.
I asked to cut that to 50, and then do you remember what he gave,
He gave that to us, didn't he?
is that what he
Right,
gave us the list?
Yeah, this is the list that he gave. Yeah,
That's my.
these were things he could think of off the top of his head, but I know there's more.
I withdrew it, I withdrew the reducing it.
Mary?
So his balance right now in facilities, capital reserve is 174,000. We're gonna add another 100,000, so take that into minus $300,000
Yeah,
for
my
that
point.
reserve
So,
account.
How much is in there?
That's what
174,000. You know, and he may be expending some of it to pay for the doors. I don't know, but what else? I mean, that's a lot of money to sit in the bank.
Is,
You don't have a plan for your projects.
Then you don't keep adding to it.
the money for the Dalton removal, is
I'm
that
sorry.
under budget somewhere? Or is that in here?
No, I haven't seen that budgeted yet. That's gonna be separate, I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think that should be a separate article, and that should be funded, you know.
It should be, it's just a question of where is that in the, I thought we talked about it at the meeting
We
about,
did the last meeting.
We did, but we said
We
it's
did.
gonna be a warrant article, so. it
Right,
would be a
so-
Separate warrant article, so
okay.
it wasn't in the budget.
but
All of a sudden, I just went,
Everything went off, everything was on.
I was like, what happened to our meeting?
It's still being recorded.
He just thought it says time to go home.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would not be part of what this capital piece is, that was my question.
You know,
Would that 40,000 or
We could.
45,000?
you could,
Good.
but
Well,
it
it's
should,
just somewhere we have to have
but it
it.
should, that
Where would
should
we
be,
put it?
it should be a separate line article and raised and appropriated.
Okay,
That's my opinion, I'm just one person.
well, I think it's gonna be, what do we do? And
Right,
if the vote is no, then you would raise and appropriate it, right? I mean, you're gonna have to do it either way, either to fix the building or to take it down, you're gonna have to have. But we already have some money left from this
Correct.
year. So,
so I guess the question I got is, as of right now, is 174,000 in that capital reserve, or minus, we'll say $10,000 for doors and stuff. And is there, and that's money that we don't have any more being deposited into that capital reserve this year? So is that 174? Well, no,
No,
because what you guys have just told us is you guys don't deposit to capital reserves until year end. So it's 174 in there now, is there another 100 going in? So it's gonna be 274.
I'd have to. see.
It was a
That
nice
should
point
tell you.
we had put in for
And,
the truck.
should tell you what,
I can't tell you right now if Nick has put the money in or not. I'd have to go in and look.
I'm just trying to figure out, if we're gonna come December 31st, we're gonna have 274,000, then we're gonna put another 100 in, give us 374,000.
Well, she said that.
There was nothing put in, this year yet. If you look at that sheet that we put on your desk.
So it's gonna be
Look at page
274,000
two.
December 31st.
Page 2, account 595-00, beginning balance 180. Debits 6,075, credits 0. Right?
Right, there's no interest, yeah.
And I don't blame her.
So it sounds like we need some more information on that one.
I don't have, I would say.
I mean, I think it's.
For facilities that haven't gone in.
Because there's another 40 days that we're agreed last year.
I can't tell from this, right?
Okay, so
I think it technically.
I think we need to get the more documentation that there may be something that Cory has that we're not aware of
This right here, that was.
before we,
Something that.
I don't wanna make any final, or I'm not making final decisions. We need that clarification.
I mean, unless the 180 is part of a beginning balance. I'd have to
Okay,
double
anything
check.
else?
I guess
What else do we need?
I've been thinking about this $300 for the tower fund. I didn't really think about it when we were dealing with their budget. But it just seems like when you were looking at, the next highest number is 20,000.
Well,
It just seems like 300,000 is kind of silly to go into a reserve.
and I didn't get a chance to talk to Dan about this, but ahead of time, but that, even though Rome only put 300 in, there's only, you said 1,900 in that.
Yes, 1996. or
I
something,
think-
yeah. What was
Huh?
that?
We should be putting a whole lot more than 3.
Yeah, I think we should put 5 in there, or even, I was just thinking 10. Because we're spending over 20, we spent, well, you guys already approved it, over $20,000 for a repeater. Well, if we lose a radio up there, that's another $2,000-3,000 just for a radio,
Right,
you know?
It's just
So
a
just so you know, Nick has put in at the beginning of the year, all those beginning balances are Nick putting money in.
Yeah.
And
If
from
you
the- from the
look at
town
your
meeting.
audit numbers from your,
Okay, so that
report,
174 is actual.
we can see.
Correct, that is from the town meeting money,
Thank you.
adding in.
Thank you.
So you're adding the numbers in there, but you're physically not putting it into the accounts until later in the year.
well, it's on the general ledger right now.
It-
So it's a
doesn't-
numbers game at that point.
It's just on paper. No money moves anywhere until we move it all into the escrow,
Right,
the
that's what I-
sub-accounting.
That's what Bruce
Yeah.
is saying is.
Then you'll have a better
Was
picture.
it,
Then we'll
was it
have-
the number from the town meeting or was it?
Right,
Correct.
so that's actual, that was the actuals, okay.
So I think if there's no more money that is slated to come out of that reserve account for the end of the year, that some of these items we could use. Simply do a warrant article, just take money out of the reserve account to pay 10,000 towards the maintenance building. Fund some of the capital reserve and fund 40,000 towards a new truck.
I think, and he's not here to answer it, I don't wanna answer his budget, but I think some of that capital reserve is to do some of the Raptors repairs and stuff like that at the center.
I think that
there's
is,
quite a bit that he has planned. Or,
there's
to
a
do
lot of work that has to
facilities
be done.
Just across the
Right.
town.
Right, but I know it was a big chunk, like I said,
But I'll nail him down and get more information
Right.
for
I just
you.
don't
I'll
wanna
get that
be
out.
spending out of that $174,000 to offset these capital reserves. When that money is gonna be needed to fix that Center for All Seasons building, the backside, that I call it the north side. You know, it's still got stuff that's gotta be addressed and,
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's, if,
We need
we're
more
not gonna
information.
solve that, so we need that, we
Yep.
need Cory to work through that. Okay, anything else on reserves? Cause we obviously need more data to finish that.
I think the tower, like I was saying, I think the tower thing, I think we need to go back to Dan on that and try to bump that one to 10,000. Just being with one person, but
Okay, so that'll be checked with Dan on that,
Who's doing that checking?
I will,
Lorna.
I'll make a note.
You got a
I know what I'm
long.
doing tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to 10,000 bare minimum, I'd go 2,500 at least.
Yeah,
You know, at least get some more, because me, that's
300
not enough money to do nothing.
Right.
I wish my
Just
company
take
would
out-
like
take
that.
out of the budget.
Yeah,
All we could have is a nice ice storm that breaks something on that.
Yeah.
now.
Thanks, right.
yeah.
I take that major lightning strike or, you know.
Mhm.
That's what took,
Absolutely.
that's what took the wire off with the lightning strike.
Yeah, so.
Okay, um. Are we comfortable now to move on to dams?
Yes.
Nice job with the tabs too, so makes it much easier.
Okay. Lorna?
So, after much prodding by Lisa and I, we finally got a budget out of the dams committee. It is lower than 2024 costs. Of course, we spent quite a bit in 2024. With the village, dam, the emergency repair that needed to be done. So the, cost actually went down. If you look at that, top of page 55, minus about 7%. The following page gives you, should have that broken down. I'm looking at, yes, at the very bottom, 9601, at the bottom of 56. Department Division 9601, the DM's account. Total expended this year, 74,129.72. I think it was actually more than that because I think we pulled some from ARPA too.
We did. pull
Because
some.
they really, they just needed to be able to get that work done. So lower budget, that's good.
And aren't they putting some in capital reserve? Oh, in addition to 15,000 capital reserve account,
That's all included.
that number's included.
Yes, ma'am.
So they're at 27, they put 15 in, they'll be at 42.
Hmm.
Which the way some of these dams are breaking. Okay,
Yeah, so I had a question about that.
okay.
Is there an overall readiness plan for all these dams that would anticipate extra costs that we would have to budget for?
Well, part of their plan is to to build up that capital reserve, which there never used to be a capital reserve, was there, Mary?
I think they always, the leftover funds went into the capital reserve because they're interlocal funds, so we can't keep them for ourselves, but we have to hold them in reserve. But there is, a management, plan through, is it EMA?
Yeah.
So we have that on file for,
Perfect.
Yeah,
in case of anything.
Okay.
they've done a really pretty,
Yeah.
really good job on those.
Don't we have a member on the dams committee? I
Do
mean,
we
the
have
dam
a
committee
member?
controls us.
Cam
Craig.
Cafferty.
Right.
isn't
All
it?
we do is pay what they tell us we have to pay in a
Plus-
given year.
Yeah,
I just
Plus-
thought maybe the dam committee rep would be here to support his budget, seems to me.
Craig Alexander.
huh?
That's Craig.
Craig,
Oh, it's Craig.
Craig and,
It's not Cam? I thought it was Cam.
No,
well, there are
Craig.
2 or 3 of them on the dam committee.
It's Craig.
Craig is the,
Craig.
chair of the committee.
He's the chair and, Tommy Bennett does
Yes.
one of the dams. And Cam, and then I'm trying to think who does, Dick Rita maybe does Wingsville.
Dick is something.
Yeah. Oh, he's wrong, never mind.
I think
All
what
right.
Gary's point is the department heads should come to present their budget, it shouldn't be.
This is right.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely.
Okay. Anything else for tonight?
Mhm. Thanks, Paul.
No.
No.
That's it.
That's one answer.
And a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second to that motion? All in favor? Dan, yes, Peter,
Yeah.
Carol. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming and your input, and we'll get some answers out.
Okay,
We
yeah.
will be meeting again.